Frank. Thanks, whole Friends IX team, first of all, for having me here. I'm excited to be with you guys today. And awesome improvements to the team that Simon just presented, and you'll see why in my slides that kind of stuff has me excited. I'm going to talk about the evolution at the edge today, how interconnection, cloud services, and everything's evolving. Why I'm here, first of all, I'm here to provide a neutral point of view. I'm not here to market my company or our products or anything. I'm not going to give you an overview of what we do. Over the past 10, 20 years, really since peering started and everything got going with IXPs, not much has really changed. The way we interconnect is still the same. It's still just a basic BGP session. We're using route servers. The economics have stayed fairly the same. And that's fundamentally changing now, primarily because of cloud and the adoption of cloud and cloud interconnect and just SDN and a whole bunch of different technologies that are coming around. Everything in the presentation is all my theories, my observations. Evolution, a little bit about evolution, and we kind of just saw this in Simon's slides on how France IX is evolving. Specifically around marketplace and adding new services. So before we get started, let's talk about some notable bits of history as it pertains to internet exchanges, interconnection. Back in the early 90s, started with May West and May East. If you want more information on that, you can talk to Martin Hannigan or Martin Levy. Those guys know it pretty well. From there, we went on to see the founding of Lynx, AM6, HKIX. Equinix was founded in 1998. In early 2001, we saw Leon IX. We saw the Euro IX Association formed. A couple years later, we saw Amazon launch EC2, which is about almost 10 years ago today. And if you think about that, little has evolved on the network side, but cloud and the way we buy compute has evolved rapidly and just keeps evolving. We saw Microsoft Azure launch shortly after that. Of course, France IX and OpenStack was launched by Rackspace and NASA. Right after that, we saw Amazon release their first general release of Direct Connect, which was direct connection to the private cloud between and their public cloud. We saw SDN get formed. We saw Netflix Open Connect, which is their embedded ISP appliance to deliver local Netflix content. OpenIX Association. Later on, we saw Equinix Cloud Exchange along with Azure and Google Cloud Interconnects. And now 2020 is next, and that's approaching pretty rapidly, about 4 years, right? So I want to talk about what's next and even what's next after that in 2030. So this is what the traditional edge looks like. You got a data center, or you have a network pop, you got edge sites, and then you connect to your peers and transit providers. Fairly simple. We've been doing it for 20 years. So some observations regarding this are, bilateral peering, multilateral peering, IP transit. Everything has pretty much remained the same, like I mentioned earlier. Embedded caching is prevalent, but it's still only done by a few of the large networks, Akamai, Netflix, Google with their global cache. Other than IP transit pricing consistently falling, the economics around bandwidth have remained unchanged. We've learned that cloud is very real. It's not going away. The additions of SDN, NFV, economics, and enterprise requirements are all driving that forward. So let's talk about cloud and internet exchange points. IXPs, as I see, sit in the perfect place for this evolution to happen. As we saw, again, I'll mention the France IX whole idea around the marketplace. It's already a platform that you can build upon. It's a distributed layer 2 network using label switching technology, and it's ready to, it's just there. It's a foundation, a core foundation to build services on. There's a low barrier of entry. Networks are already connected to the platform, then they're easily in the place to consume more services such as transit over the IX or cloud interconnection over the IX or DDoS, even DDoS services over the IX. Distributed deployment allows them to have the availability to build infrastructure pretty densely and connect to multiple facilities in a metro. Top 3 cloud providers today, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft, are already connected. They already have massive networks. So again, this puts an IXP in a perfect place to offer services such as cloud interconnection. So here's the network edge of today and tomorrow. Looks fairly just like the edge of yesterday, where you've got peers, you've got transit providers, but now you've got cloud service providers. You've got the soft layers, the Azures, the Google Compute, the AWS Direct Connects, and then you've got the embedded caching, Netflix, Akamai, Google, not many others. Microsoft has a product that they do. But the cloud is really driving new interconnection requirements. 60% of today's IT spend is on software. So next couple slides, I'm going to talk about software and how we really need to embrace that and move forward. So designing, managing, and operating. Cloud infrastructure is fundamentally, and software is fundamentally changing how we build and operate networks today. SDN, you can leverage it to design off-network controllers, automation around provisioning, and tons of other stuff. Just ordering ports, looking glass. The possibilities are really endless. The DevOps movement is expanding to the network. Network operators are going to have to learn to need to code. It's no longer going to be the network engineer who just logs into a console anymore and can do their job. And the same with peering coordinators. Peering coordinators are not just going to go out and have beers and turn up peering sessions. You're going to need to know the business. You're going to need to know what COGS are and how that impacts your business. Cloud services are being created to provide frictionless management tasks such as monitoring, analytics, notification services, and efficiency is becoming more important. And efficiency has always been important, but not everybody can do it well. But now with SDN, with all these new technologies, efficiency is much more important because you can scale up and down resources as you need it and not waste money. Takeaways. This is a very quick presentation, but the interconnection landscape is changing. We need to realize that, we need to embrace it, and we need to do things that pertain to the evolution of our companies and our products. And we see that happening today. The economics are shifting. We're getting away from 12-month, 24-month, 36-month contracts, complex terms, and no flexibility. That stuff is all coming into play now, and there's places you can go and you can buy network services for 30 days if you need it. You don't have to sign a contract. Software is a key design component of the network now, like I just mentioned. If you're a network engineer and you don't know how to code, you better learn. Roles and responsibilities are changing, as I just mentioned. Peering coordinators and peering managers, it's all shifting to being interconnection strategy, strategic negotiators, folks getting more involved in the business. And I think Google is a good example of this with their strategic negotiation team. They pull people in that are actually just very good at business and might not necessarily have a network background. Network engineers got to learn to code, and you see also smaller companies where operations engineers and software engineers are getting more involved in the network since everything's being software controlled. The expertise for network engineers is actually kind of shifting. That is it, very quick. Thank you. Any questions?
Okay, thank you for the presentation, Christian. So I have a question. We are struggling with the system administrator. You're talking about the network admin, and we are having a challenge trying to find a way, because a lot of this is going towards software, but system administrators are also missing. Are you finding the same challenge, and what's your thought about having more system admin in the interconnection space, and also because of the cloud services that are coming up? What's happening to try and make sure that we have these skill sets being developed on sysadmins?
Yeah, good question. Thanks, Michuki. System administrators fall into the same kind of category of the DevOps and the admins, and I think there's some good educational efforts going on around the world today. But I think we need to put a lot more effort into education. And we noticed that when we're looking to fill roles, even previously when I was at Microsoft, it's actually very hard to hire. And talking to a few of the other big guys, it's very hard to hire these days. And I think education and knowledge gaps are playing a big role in that. So I think we need to come together and find some, build some educational programs and really get out and teach the system admins and the junior network engineers that are learning to code now and make sure they're on the right path, developing the right skills going forward. Thank you. Thank you.
This year I'm asking you another question. Who do you think will be this 300th connected party?
Here you see all the route collectors. I circled France IX. This will actually get a real proper name. Now it just says test something. As you can see, the France IX AS is a very, very short path